All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming to the Connect Lounge. My name's Evan, and I'll be talking about Connect communities today. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, a few things we'll be talking about, of course, what is a community, why we need communities, and then I have a couple demos for you, like creating a community and then making use of one, and visualizing data across different domains. So first, a little bit about me. I'm Evan Greavu. I'm based out of the Scottsdale, Arizona office in the U.S. I joined AVEVA in 2019. Initially joined OSIsoft as part of PyTech support and provided PyTech support for a few years. Then moved into R&D, and I'm part of R&D on a team called the Product Readiness Guild, and we do a lot of testing of new products, and we assist with early customer engagement and lighthouse programs, and we do a lot of testing of Connect. So first off, what is a community? A community in Connect is a data sharing feature. Communities enable secure data sharing between tenants on Connect. So access to data is governed by who owns it. So we're not setting up like a data transfer. We're not setting up an agent or a copy of data between two different tenants. We are just granting access to data between different tenants on Connect. Authorization to that data is still handled through the Connect identity provider. And then, no data transfer mechanism is needed. You don't need an agent to be deployed anywhere. The data just exists on Connect, and then it can be shared. So why is this needed? It's because there's many challenges with sharing data securely. Traditionally, you have some options like we can imagine if we had maybe two Pi servers, two different companies having two different Pi servers that are not connected at all, not within the same network. You can maybe imagine having a VPN or tunnel that allows these to connect. But this is actually still a point of a possible failure, or you could be compromised if the VPN is compromised. You don't really want to invite the possibility of someone getting into your network just because you wanted to share data. Even if you weren't doing this, and if you were just trying to share data between two places on the cloud using shared cloud credentials, well, this is still pretty problematic because if you hand out credentials to your cloud to someone from a different company intending to share data, that might work, but then the line for responsibility of that credential is blurred. Now you have, like, if your company gives access to someone from a different company, and then if they leave that company, how's your company supposed to keep track of that and know? It's not your company's responsibility, so that line is just blurred. Then you have, of course, like old school, you could just email data. You could have a flash drive and send data physically, but of course we could do better than that. The data itself it's an artifact. As soon as you get it into that form, it's immediately out of date if you're talking about real-time data. They're just static pieces of data, and of course, like passing around data that's on a flash drive unencrypted, just not a good idea. So Connect communities have we can counter all of these with Connect communities because of cloud native data governance. So we grant access to the data that resides in your cloud. So instead of trying to move that data somewhere else, we are granting access to the data that resides in our cloud to other audiences. With that, you also have transparent data federation. You still have everyone still authenticates to their own tenant. You aren't setting up an invitation for someone to get into your tenant. You're only sharing data, so everyone still has to access their own tenant. And this is great for real-time collaboration, and this is much more scalable, of course. The data is shared in real time. No more flash drives and emails that go out of date. Partners can now access live data directly via the platform. So I have a demo video that is creating a community and then sharing data into this community. And let's take a look. So first off, I'm just going to hit add community and specify name for the community. In this case, we'll be talking about wind power and weather. So we're going to create a wind power community. After specifying the name, we're going to specify uh, roles of people that can administer this community from our tenant. Common option for that is tenant community administrator, so I'll choose that. Now anyone in that role can administer this community from the original tenant that created the community. Also, you can now specify people that shouldn't have administration access but should still be able to read data from the community. You can just add them at that step. So now the community exists, and we only have one tenant member, which is us. We created the community, so let's invite another tenant. We'll specify the email of a tenant administrator from the target tenant that we want to invite. In this case, it's me, because I'm inviting myself. Then after that, this person will get an email, and that email actually will look like this. And it says, hi, this person has invited you to this community. So then that person just has to view the invitation. It asks them if they want to join the wind power community, and they hit join. But there's one more step. Now the person who created the community has to approve of this. The person that is accepted, they will confirm that tenant, and now we have added the new tenant member to the community. So now there's two tenants. There's Wind Power and Weather Analysis LLC. So about sharing the data into this community, first of all, we'll see that initially there's nothing in the community. There's no streams that have been added to the community yet. But Wind Power Corp has all these streams, so if we want to add a stream to this community, we'll go to select the stream and then do share stream and choose the community. And that just does it for one. Then you can look at the sharing tab and know that now this stream is shared into that community. But you don't have to do that for each one, so we'll just select all, and then there's a button to share the streams right here, and we'll share it to that community. So now I've just shared 77 streams into this community. So these will be streams related to wind power and wind turbines, and collecting data from wind turbines. Then back to the other tenant. This is the Weather Analysis Corp, looking at the community. So they can actually now go into the community instead of their own namespace. So the community kind of appears like a separate namespace. So we go into the community, wind power community, and now we see all the streams that are in this community. So this is the second tenant, Weather Analysis Corp, seeing Wind Power Corp's streams just right in their Connect Data Services, and it just looks like they're all there and they can view the data if they want. And sure enough, we have view data and we can see the data. So just like that, we've already set up the share. We never set up a mechanism to make this happen. It's just that we granted access to this data to someone from another tenant, and that's all there is to it. So what's really cool is I showed an example of just two tenants being in a community, but you can have more than two members. Say we had Wind Power Corp, Weather Analysis Corp, and then like Power Distribution Inc. You could imagine if these three tenant members, if three companies collaborated, you could create pretty insightful data. Wind power, power collection, and then weather analysis to know how the weather and how the wind will impact generated wind power, and then power distribution. You could see data of how that power is being used by a region, and so that would create a very powerful data set when put all together. So what else can you do with this? Well, like I was just saying, ecosystem data sharing, that's the big picture. Secure exchange of data to really strengthen industrial collaboration. You can also do collaborative data science. This is a really cool use case where you have a partner do analysis for you. So you invite that partner to a community and share data into that community, and then they can perform analysis on the data and maybe share the data back into that same community. So you have two separate companies collaborating on the same data, but they don't have to set up any transfer or anything. And then related process monitoring. Like I was saying, if you create these very powerful combined data sets from different domains, then you can now democratize insights across separate and related enterprises. You can also do aggregation and contextualization, of course, combining data and aggregating data from across domains to create diverse data sets. Another cool use case is applications integration. So instead of having a separate company do analysis, you can have a separate company or partner develop an application on top of your data just by adding them to a community, and you never have to even give them a login to anything. And finally, if your goal is secure data bridging, or it actually is just you want to transfer data, well, this is still the most secure way to do it because you have it's facilitated by the cloud, and then, of course, through authorization and authentication. Like um, this is much more secure than trying to set up, like what we talked about before, a VPN or a tunnel or giving out a credential. So this is still, if you wanted to accomplish data transfer, the best way. So I had another demo. Going back to those three companies working together, we can see what we can create with a community that combines data from these different domains. And we do this in visualization. So community data is available for visualizing, and you can create visualizations using community data, and that's what I did in this demo here. So we start with just looking at a visualization that, say, Wind Power Corp had, and it's just a graph of like the farm output. How much power are they outputting? And they can see that the active power goes up and down over time, and then availability you can also see. But this is not a very insightful data set. We can see that active power goes up and down, but we don't really know why. It might be due to wind or something. But let's add community data now. So we're going to add a bunch of data from the Weather Analysis Corp tenant. And this actually provides us the context that now explains things. We can see that wind speed is going up and down and is responsible for, it ties directly to the active power of the turbines. So we can see how wind speed was data collected from a totally separate company, and we can put it on top of our data that is the active power from wind turbines. And now you have this incredible data set where you can see how the weather is impacting your power. And you can also see how on the bottom there's availability. There's times when availability spikes down, and that actually is when there's severe weather. You can also use, like, if there's severe weather, that maybe you could do a prediction to even know when your turbines are going to be impacted by that. Then we have a second example. This is now going to combine data from three domains. So we're looking at outages for turbines, and this is looking from a perspective of the power distribution corp. So we know that demand goes up and down over time, but we don't know maybe if active power generation is keeping up with demand. So what we can do is combine the weather data and the power generation data with the grid demand data, and now you have this extremely insightful data set that actually combines weather with power and with regional power usage. And so now you can see the full story. You can see where there's severe weather and availability of the wind farm drops down, and then there's times when the severity index spikes up, and you can now match things up, and you can really see how weather impacts wind, impacts power, and everything all together. So that actually concludes my demos.
Okay, thanks, Evan. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank
See
you,
in
everyone.
the